Hello, everybody. KevinJJohnston here. Welcome to the Tax and Money Show that runs absolutely every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time here live at freedomreport.ca. We are on DLive. We are on Instagram, Kick, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. We're everywhere because we kind of have to be. Zuckerberg has taken us down a lot of times. Google's taken us down. Who cares? So we're everywhere. And every time they take us down, we just pop right back up. I'm kind of like a weed. I ain't going away. Even if you put vinegar down my throat, I'm still coming back. All right, we got to cover language tonight. Tonight's show is called Bad Language. I will not be swearing up a storm tonight like some of you may have thought. I'm going to be talking about bad language and how bad language has tricked all of us into doing the wrongest possible thing for the wrongest possible reason. Now, Jimmy Kimmel, he hasn't been funny for about 15 years, but 20 years ago, when he was running the Man Show with, what's the other guy's name? I can't remember his name, but anyway, the two of them were great. And the one thing that they were doing is they walked around town in New York, Los Angeles, a bunch of places to show Americans how bad their grammar was and how limited their vocabularies were. So what they said was, we want to end women's suffrage. All right. Now, stupid people thought that meant suffering. And obviously, stupid people meant that like there's men hurting women for no reason. That's what they thought. So people were women were signing petitions to end women's suffrage. The word suffrage is a very unusual word. It simply means personhood, the right to vote. So let's cover that one. Person is going to be the first bad word that we cover tonight, everybody. To be a person, it's not what you think. It is not what you think it is. And by the time I'm done explaining this word to you, you ladies out there are going to regret the fact and resent the fact that you have the right to vote. Now I'm going to explain. To be a person in any of the British colonies, including the United States, you are what is known as a corporation. That is correct. In Canada, we have what is called a social insurance number. It has 3 sets of 3 numbers. The first number dictates which province you were born in, and the rest of them mean something. I don't care what. I won't make money memorizing what that is. But you, the human being, are not referred to as a human being or a sentient creature within the law. You are referred to as a person. Would you like to know what a corporation is referred to? I bet you would. A person. Yeah, that's right. A person. Corporations and human beings with social insurance numbers in Canada are the same thing. They're called persons. Now, Black's Law Dictionary is a dictionary that works not hand in hand with, side by side with the English language. English has about 400,000 words in it. It's pretty amazing. It's actually incredibly versatile. As you know, I've been in Panama for a year, so I'm learning Spanish slowly, but I'm seeing Spanish is an incredibly simple language, such as, buenos dias, señorita. Now, the direct translation, at least my interpretation, is good morning, woman, or good morning, girl. But when you call someone a señorita or a girl or young adult female, it's actually a compliment. So the language is incredibly simplified. In English, you'd have to add a modifier like good morning, beautiful lady, good morning, gorgeous lady, good morning, something. Because if you're going to use the word girl or lady, it would have to be something. You got to preface it, young lady, something, whatever it is. So the complexity of English was being used against all of us when these lawmakers decided to write their own dictionary. They took this huge language with a massive number of words and redefined every word. So it is true that there was a day that in Canada, women were not considered persons. And you know what, ladies? When you were not persons under the law, you had it made, man. You didn't have to worry about doing stupid stuff like going out to vote because you couldn't. Why? You were not a tax-paying corporation. But as soon as you became that, As soon as women became persons under law, what happened to you? Yeah, you started paying income tax. Don't you feel great about that? So this whole thing about women's suffrage, ending women's suffrage, there are a lot of women in Canada that I talk to who actually want to end women's suffrage. Women no longer want to be persons under the law so that they are not a 9-digit corporation paying income tax. You got to be very careful what you wish for when you are looking at words, bad language designed to do bad things. So half the population, being women in Canada, were tricked into believing that they were not human beings under the law. They were absolutely human beings under the law. You were not allowed to beat a woman back in the 1920s. You were not allowed to throw a woman in front of a truck or throw them off of a cliff. You could not do any of that, period. But as soon as they became persons, they had to pay tax. Oh, that is so terrible. Well, everyone, I'd like to share my screen here. So let me just make sure I share the correct one. I want to talk about more language, if we could. So I'm going to show everybody now a letter. I have to switch the screen here. Hold on. Why am I not seeing that? Here we go. There we go. Now we can see this. So in this letter, I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you. This letter comes from an auditor. And the auditor says, subject, trust accounts examination, payroll, goods and services tax. We are confirming an appointment May 1st, 2025 at blah, 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 Smiths Falls, Ontario. The Income Tax Act, this is an office of mine, by the way, so Antifa, just stay away. The Income Tax Act, Canada Pension Plan, Employment Insurance Act, and Excise Tax Act state that you must keep books and records and that an officer of the Canada Revenue Agency may examine them. All right, let's talk about this for a second here. She says she's coming. This auditor says she's just showing up. No warrant, no payment to my client, just showing up. And then she says that you must keep books and records, and that so that an officer of the Canada Revenue Agency may examine them. But why must we? So the word must in this instance is actually not enforceable. And I'm going to explain that shortly. But must do this? Well, why? Why must I? This individual does not have a court order. This individual in no way, shape, or form will do anything of any benefit to us. So if I must do something, then you must either pay me to do that thing. Whoopsie. There we go. Oh my God, we're having such trouble tonight. And there we are. Wow. Sorry about that, folks. You must pay me to do something for you, or you must get a court order. That's it. Pay me to do something or get a court order. And if you get a court order, I'm still not going to comply because I'm going to appeal the court order. So if someone sends you a letter saying that you must do something, no, you have no obligation to do that thing whatsoever. Well, let's go back to this and zoom a bit more here. On the day of examination, please have the following books and records available for the period of January 1st, 2022 to April the 30th of 2025. You believe this? The audacity of this individual to say, I'm coming to your office and you're going to sit with me. You're not getting paid for it. And you're going to show us 3.5 years of your taxes. Are you kidding me? Look at everything she wants. Payroll journals, which are registers that show salaries, wages, taxable benefits, and commissions for each pay period and each employee, including deductions for income tax, Canada Pension Plan contributions, and employment insurance premiums. Now, I'll cover what's wrong with that one right off the hop here. And what is wrong with that one is that I would be in violation of the Privacy Act. If some loser who calls themselves an auditor comes to my front door and I show, let's say all of you were watching the show work for me, and I show this auditor your personal paperwork, your home address, your social insurance number, your bank account balances and what I paid you, I can actually be sued by you for breach of the Privacy Act. Yeah, that's right. So the CRA auditor is using clever bad language here to tell you to violate the rights of your staff. Going back to the letter here, she wants to see summaries from the payroll journals showing the total income deductions, Canada pension plan contributions, and employment insurance premiums for each pay period. So imagine you pay weekly. This crazy broad wants to see 180 times the number of employees, I might add. How long is she planning on being there? Holy smoke. The answer is, again, no. I will not violate the Privacy Act for an auditor. Then we have, she wants the year 2022 T4 slips and a T4 summary. In Canada, a T4 slip is what your employer gives you to snitch on you to the Canada Revenue Agency on how much money you made and how much deduction they have taken from you. So again, no, not doing it. She wants to see a list of subcontractors and self-employed individuals, their contact information, and copies of contracts and invoices. Again, wow. No and no. You want to see my contracts? What are you going to do? Steal my clients? If you give a client list of yours to the CRA, you're asking for trouble, because you know what's going to happen. They're going to call your clients and ask your clients for your money. You are in violation of the Privacy Act. If you're a client of mine, I don't care that the CRA calls me, because I'm going to tell them where to go. But what I care about is you gave my name to the CRA, telling the CRA that we have a contract. That's no one's business except for us, which is why whenever I do business with anybody where I'm paying for them, I tell them that here's the subsidiary contract I'm giving you. You give my information to anybody, you're in a whole ton of trouble. Not a chance in hell are you going to share my info with anybody if we are doing business. Back to it. She wants to see a list of, here we go. A list of all taxable benefits for all employees, shareholders, directors, and other persons. You're not obligated to tell anybody who the shareholders are in a corporation. And once again, Privacy Act. No, you're not giving anybody my information. Wow. She wants to see automobile leases and purchase agreements, including contracts, logbooks, and current odometer readings. Again, no and no. Who's paying us for this? I always ask the same question. Who is paying me for my time? You're going to sit there and tell me I've got to give you logbooks. You want the odometer reading on all of my vehicles? On top of everything else at the top 1/3 of this page? Are you crazy? No, that is also not going to happen. Let's go back to this crazy letter here. She wants to know shareholders' loan journals. So if you were to give me a loan, she wants to know, but the auditor wants to know this without paying you for it. Again, my information, it is private. You're not sharing it with anyone. Cash receipts and disbursements journal, bank statements and canceled checks, electronic funds transfer statements, detailed names, amounts, and addresses, list of current accounts receivable, including the business merchant number and the accounts payable. Are you kidding me? You're going to give the Canada Revenue Agency all of your clients who owe you money so that she can go to their offices and take your money. Think about that. You know, a lot of you do this, though. Don't you think for a second that maybe you should be protecting your clients and protecting your income by just saying no? You can say no. You know, that's how that works. Alrighty. We got a list of your assets. Why would you ever tell anybody that? That's no one's business. You have no legal obligation to tell anybody about your assets. None. Completed GST returns for the outstanding period. Like she wants almost a year's worth of that. Then she wants a sales journal that shows the date of transaction, invoice number, sales amount, and GST charged. Again, no, because no one's paying me to do this. Invoices for the 10 largest sales, including the sales journal. Again, no. And no, none of that's going to happen. Not now and not ever. Let me just turn this overlay off on the Rumble channel here. Sales journals for each transaction from April 1st, 2024 to December 31st. So like she wants 8 months of sales journals. Again, Privacy Act. You're going to be giving away your clients and your suppliers' information to someone just because they ask, because they say, I work for the CRA. Again, guys, Privacy Act. I would sue you if you gave my information to the CRA. Invoices and purchases, including the purchase journals, purchase invoices for each transaction. Oh, we've already covered that. All right, let me, there's a little bit more here, everybody. Not much more, but a little bit more. Okay, and there's my lovely face. Let's get the other letter up right now. And here's the, I guess we'll call it the coup de grace. Whoa. So you see here, for the year 2023 and up. Oh, wow, that's really zoomed in. Sorry, guys, I'm having some trouble with the mouse. For the year 2023 up to today, please have available an employee's recipients listing indicating their dental care or their dental services coverage. 1, not eligible to access dental care, insurance, or coverage. Oh my God, like she wants to know everything about your kids. She wants to know about your kids. She wants to know about your children and your staff's children. Here's her name, everybody. Veronica Marcus. Trust accounts examination. So she's actually an auditor. That's the address she supposedly works in, 333 Laurier Avenue West, Ottawa, Ontario. And her phone number is 613-791-6387. Again, 613-791-6387. And this is her. This is what she looks like, everybody. Now, first off, she kind of looks like an orangutan. You know, they got those big chins and those big lips. That's what she looks like. For those who can't see on TikTok, Kick, and Instagram, it's a white chick, okay? So it's not a racist joke. But she's got 10 pounds of makeup on her face, and she just shows up and stood on the front porch for 15 minutes, got on her phone and screamed at my client. And my client kept saying, talk to KevinJJohnston, talk to KevinJJohnston. See, my client actually gave me 51% of his company, specifically for me to be able to deal with this particular creep. And this particular creep wouldn't talk to me. Do you know why? Because I know the law. Because I told her, you're trespassing. Don't ever come back. You are a criminal. We will be contacting the cops if you don't leave my client alone. Extortion, fraud, uttering threats, intimidation. Oh, yeah, there's more. There's other charges in there. Conspiracy. Oh, boy. You don't want any of that. Oh, and criminal trespass. Yeah. All right. And had she opened up one of those doors, well, break and enter. So fortunately for her, she didn't touch the doors. We were watching. We had everything live on the camera. That's where I got that perfect screen grab. Look at that. So everybody, I'm making an announcement tonight. I want everybody to call this auditor. Her name is Veronica Marcus, Markus. Now, she, because she's a government employee and works within a public setting here, and her information is open to the public, I would very much like to have you call her, ask her questions about why she steals money from people, ask her questions about why she behaves like a criminal, and record the call, and then get your MP3 file over to me. And the funniest one is going to win $100. I'm going to give you $100 of my own money if you guys call her and get a really good, funny reaction out of this particular individual. And the reason I'm saying we have to phone CRA representatives like this is so that we can prevent her from contacting anyone else. If anybody else, if all of us are phoning as an army against auditors, and they're taking all of our phone calls and they're getting upset by them, guess what? They are not phoning us, we the people, to steal money from us. It's passive aggressive, it's not violent, and it's completely legal for each and every one of you to phone a government employee who willingly, publicly gives out her phone number on letters and on business cards. Yeah. So I want all of you out there to call this lady. If you're watching on TikTok, on Rumble, and on Kick, you can simply go to freedomreport.ca after the show, and you'll see the image of her and the image of her phone number. One more time, there she is. Now, I left her a couple of voicemails when she refused to speak to me. I asked her, like, why did you show up with so much makeup? Were you looking to seduce my client? Is that what this was all about? I even said to her, look, you've got the kind of face where the only thing that you'd be able to kiss with all that lipstick on would be the, I'm not going to say it because I'm trying to be classy, but it kind of looks like this, and it kind of expels stuff from it, and it kind of belongs to a rhinoceros. So use your imagination. I did tell her over and over again, though, that she's not to call my client, and she is to call me. And chapter 10, everybody, chapter 10 of the auditor's handbook that's given out to all the auditors of the Canada Revenue Agency dictates that as soon as an audit becomes hostile, the auditor has to drop the file and give the file to their supervisor. Yeah, true story. So I told her on the phone, consider this hostile. I told her that her behavior is hostile and we don't want her around us, and have your supervisor call me. It's a wonderful thing to know the law. Policy. Policy is the next bad word that we want to talk about tonight. Tonight's show is called Bad Words, and I would like everybody out there to know the difference between policy and law. Policy. If someone says, it's our policy that you can't do this, first question, got to ask yourself, do I work for this company? Do I have to follow this policy? And if you don't work for that specific business or that specific branch of the government, the policy doesn't matter. I'm sure we all remember during COVID what happened is there was a lineup of cars that were driving into hospital garages, and men were sticking their heads out like this, and some kid nurse would stick stuff up their nose. And I was running the camera asking people, why are you letting someone you don't know assault you cranially with a stick? Please help me understand. And the nurse is saying, oh, you have to stand over there. It's our policy that no cameras are allowed in the parking garage. No cameras are allowed on the property. So I don't care about your policy. So the one nurse lies to me and says she'll answer all my questions if I walk with her outside of the garage. Thinking, okay, let's see where this goes. So, we walk, and then she says, okay, you stay here. And she walks back in. So I walked back in. She lied. How dare you lie to me? So then she sends some security guards over. And the guy says, you can't run the camera. He's blocking my camera like this. And I told him, listen, you got to make sure that hand doesn't touch me, because right now I feel threatened. You're here in body armor. You've got pepper spray, which means you're all set for a fight. Please don't touch me. I have to call 911. And they didn't. And then they reached into their little pocket and they showed me their policy. It was written down in pen on a laminated piece of paper. It's their policy that I couldn't film in the garage. Well, the policy pertains to them. They work for the hospital. Yeah. But in Canada, hospitals are publicly funded. So their policy pertains to them. You are allowed to film whatever you want in the parking lot of a hospital, regardless of whose face you're filming, because it's considered public ground, just like the sidewalk, and you have no expectation of privacy in any public setting. So when the Canada Revenue Agency now, and they say this all the time, it's our policy to make sure that you fill out this piece of paper here before your lawyer can talk to us, before your legal agent can talk to us. And we tell them all the time, that's your policy. But that's also your problem. That's not my problem. So when these auditors, like this creep right here, when these auditors say that they won't speak to me because they don't have an authorization form with their little logo on it and my name on it, they say, well, we're just going to call your client regardless. I'm saying, okay, fine, but we're calling the cops. So I now have my clients trained to call the cops. So I've got my clients calling the cops all the time. Now, the police will not go and charge the CRA but we're going to get police reports. And the more and more these police reports that happen, the more the cops are going to realize there's a pattern here. And at some point, some cop is going to do their job and go make the arrest. But if we have those police reports, everybody, you just have to go down to your local courthouse and file criminal charges yourself. It's called laying a private information in Canada. You can actually file charges. We all collectively need to become an army and do this against all the members of the CRA who harass us on the phone on a regular basis. All of us. By the way, we're at 3,000 likes right over here on TikTok. Can we get everyone going double fingers here? Let's get the hearts flying. Everyone like. Share. Same thing, please, over here on Instagram. Everyone, if you want to hit the wave, if you want to share it. And everyone watching on Rumble, thumbs up, please. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, follow, do whatever it takes to get this information into your heads every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. We certainly do appreciate all the likes, all the hearts. And hey, let's get some cowboy hats on my head here on TikTok. TikTok is great so that, or for gifts, it's quite awesome. Anybody looking to get a hold of me needs to do so through my website, KevinJJohnston.com. My name, KevinJJohnston.com. Use the contact form. Please make sure all your contact details are there, including phone number. A lot of people give us emails only, and that's okay, but for faster response, you want to give us your phone number as well. Please do not expect me to answer anything in direct messages on any social media. I don't have time. I don't have time. We've got 40 plus social media pages. I don't even look at the comments anymore. I have a young lady that deletes the rude stuff. The critical stuff can stay, but the rude stuff has to go. We just don't have time. So use the website to communicate, please. All right. We're going to go to another letter now. All right. Let me share my screen again here. And we're going to go to this individual. No, wrong way. And almost. Oh my God. How do I get this to work? It worked before. McDonald is an extremist far left individual whose telephone number is 236-464-3061. And again, same thing applies. Give Mark a call, but please preface it this way. Tell Mark McDonald of the CRA that Kevin J. Johnston says hello, and Kevin J. Johnston is really worried that you're doing very aberrant things on the farm. He's going to know what that means. And this guy's going to react. Get him to react. The funniest call with him is also going to win $100, everybody. So this letter is a requirement to pay letter. All right. So what they say here is requirement to pay is a request. The word requirement in Canadian law simply means request. We want you to do something for us. Again, no court order, no requirements. I'm not doing anything without that court order. Requirement to pay, it says this is a copy of the requirement to pay letter that we sent to Canadian Tire Bank. Canadian Tire's got some kind of credit card thing going on. It says you can still make a payment on your debt. For payment options, go to canada.ca/payments. Of course, this is all about money. If you have already paid your debt in full, please contact the person to provide the details of your payments. So even if you make payments to the Canada Revenue Agency, which I always suggest that you don't, they don't know about it. You got to jump on the phone with them and stay on hold for 3 hours and say, hi, I made a payment. And you're going to be speaking to someone who doesn't speak English, and they're going to get everything you say wrong. So it doesn't matter if you pay. They're going to say that you didn't. Don't give the CRA money. We got to fight them. You object to everything. You appeal everything. Alrighty, so it says the following taxpayer owes $18,000 for the account. Of course, I blocked out the gentleman's name. This requirement to pay from the Minister of National Revenue requires you to send us any money you would otherwise pay to the taxpayer, but do not send more than $18,000 at the rate of 100% of all payments. For requirements to pay, money includes amounts from any assets of the taxpayer that can be converted into cash. You're required to pay under subsection 2241 and 1.1 of the Income Tax Act, or under these same subsections and one or more of the provisions of the other provisions section of this document. Okay, clever, bad language, all designed to be tricky. So what I will do is we're going to give you a treat here. Let's remove this and let's actually go to that page. All right. I think it's this one here. Here we go. Income Tax Act. I'm going to remove all that lovely stuff. And there's my lovely face again. All right. So the Income Tax Act, Section 224. This is all about garnishment. All right. So a requirement to pay letter gets sent to your employer and they say, you have to pay us. And if you don't, we may, not will, we may. Bad language again, deceptive language. We may audit you. And I say, well, first off, that's extortion. I'm going to file criminal charges. Secondly, that's intimidation. I'm going to file criminal charges. Thirdly, that's harassment. I'm going to file criminal charges. Fourth, it's fraud. I'll file criminal charges. I'm an employer and I protect my employees. Your employer could say that, but they won't. Because your employers are cowards, almost all yours. The employer just has to send a letter in saying, you get a court order and don't ever contact me again. That's what a real man would do. But there's no real men left in Canada. I think we can all agree on that. So what happens is the letter gets faxed or mailed, and if the bank gets it, it's not served legally. You can't serve a legal document legally by fax. It's got to be done by service. The CRA doesn't serve it. The banks just capitulate and give your money to the CRA. It's the banks that are the problem, not the actual CRA. So garnishment, Section 224, subsection 1. Now listen to the wording on this. It's horrendous. Where the minister had, and by the way, this is right off of the Justice website, the Canadian Justice website. Where the minister has knowledge or suspects that a person, remember what we said earlier in the show, a person, a corporation, somebody with a social insurance number, a person is or will be within 1 year liable to make a payment to another person who is liable to make a payment under this act in this section and subsections 224 1.1 and 224 subsection 3 referred to as the tax debtor. The minister may, not will, may possibly consider, that's what may means, perhaps, may in writing require, which means request. It doesn't mean must, it means request. May require the person to pay forthwith. So let's reread this. Where the minister or some loser at the CRA thinks that you owe money and accuses you of it and can't even prove it, they will threaten your boss and say to your boss, hey, you may have to pay us. And if you don't, we may audit you. That's all that it says. We're please requesting you by requiring you under Black's Law Dictionary to give us money. So it's a request. We have no court order, but give it to us anyway. That's what that means. Then it says, the minister may in writing require the person to pay forthwith where the monies, plural, are immediately payable, and in other cases, as and when the monies become payable, the monies otherwise payable to the tax debtor in whole or in part to the receiver general on account of the tax debtor's liability under this act. Now, here's the problem with the word liability in this section here, is the liability has to be proven. And the CRA proves nothing. When the Canada Revenue Agency assesses you, it is a wild guess. You are not liable for somebody's assumption. You are only liable if a judge says you are in a lawfully held court of law where you lose a lawsuit. That is when you are liable. But they didn't say the word liable. They said liability. So think about that. It's a liability. Perceived, guessed at, assessed. So what they're also saying here is, hey, we're going to lie and say little Johnny over there owes some money. And we're going to request and call it requirement of his boss that the next time you're going to pay him, pay us. Because we say so. We have no legal grounds to ask for this money. We have no way to enforce this. We didn't get a court order, but give it to us anyway. And if you don't, we're going to send an auditor to come and see you. Yeah. Think about that. And many of you fall for this. It's bad language. It's designed to hurt you and help them. I'm going to go further with this. IDEM, subsection 1.1, without limiting the generality of subsection 224, subsection 1, where the minister has knowledge or suspects that within 90 days, a bank, credit union, trust company, or other similar person. See, they're calling banks and trust companies persons just like you. See, you're all corporations. See? And this is their rules, not mine. In this section referred to as the institution will lend or advance monies to or make a payment on behalf of or make a payment in respect of a negotiable instrument issued by a tax debtor who is indebted to the institution and who is granted security in respect of the indebtedness, or B, a person other than an institution will lend or advance monies or make a payment on behalf of a tax debtor who the minister knows or suspects, one, is employed by or is engaged in providing services or property to that person, corporation, or was or will be within 90 days so employed or engaged, or two, where that person is a corporation, is not dealing at arm's length with that person. Let me explain what that means. What that means here is, hey, Mr. Banker, Kevin here has a mortgage. Now, Kevin's going to make mortgage payments to you, but you're going to give them to us, and you're not going to credit that money he gives you towards his mortgage. And then the bank will do it and then charge you for a missed payment and interest and penalties. Holy crap. So at that point, it would be better to pull some legal shenanigans and get the house into a corporation's name and then just file an injunction against the bank until all this is solved, so you don't have to pay the mortgage any longer. And there's other tricks that we can pull. I mean, there are some really filthy legal games that we can play against bank managers to get these things to go away. I won't cover them here because TikTok and Instagram would take the video down. But if anybody wants to hire me to pull these tricks, you let me know. It's not cheap at all, but it works. So everybody, remember what we talked about earlier in tonight's broadcast, and that is the auditor, that crazy auditor I showed you with that crazy long orangutan face. She wanted to know what my clients, who my clients' clients were, who my clients' accounts receivable were, all of his contracts, all of his staff. Why? Because then she would report that to the minister here, which is the CRA, and the CRA would then phone all of those clients and send letters to them to get the money they owe you to give to them. This is why you don't cooperate with the CRA. This is why you exercise your right to remain silent with any branch of the Canadian government. Even the cops, when they've got their guns pointed at you and they say you're under arrest, when they finally handcuff you, they tell you you have the right to remain silent. That is not a threat. That is actually them doing you a big favor. Shut up. Stop talking. Do not divulge information to anybody. The CRA has no right to this information. I have never seen, ever in my 40 years of studying taxes, I've never once seen the Canada Revenue Agency go to the Superior Court of any province to get a court order against anyone. They just keep sending letters out to people. That's all that they do. For everybody who's asking questions, questions are going to be in the second hour. So in about 20 minutes, we're going to start answering questions. I've got a few more things to go through here. Yeah, I'm a little fired up tonight, everybody, because we've had to deal with some really, really evil people working for the CRA. All right, now I'm going to go back a little bit here because there's a couple more bad words and bad descriptive languages that we need to cover tonight. Let me just share my screen again here. And here we go. Every auditor tells everybody that you have to cooperate with them because of Section 150 of the Income Tax Act, which I will now read word for word. Subsection 1. Subject to subsection 1.1, a return of income that is prescribed that is in prescribed form and that contains prescribed information shall be filed with the minister without notice or demand for the return for each taxation year of a taxpayer. I will now interpret that horribly written language for you. It's bad language. All right. What that says here is that please, we're losers and criminals working for the Canada Revenue Agency. Please do a tax return every year. Please. That's what it means, everyone. It's junk. This Income Tax Act is garbage. And it doesn't even pertain to you or you or you or you. It pertains to none of you. It pertains to the staff of the CRA because an act is not a law. An act in Canada pertains to those who choose to be governed by it. So if you work for the Canada Revenue Agency, you've chosen to be governed by the act, and thus it pertains to you. But you want me to help you enforce this piece of junk? Oh, that's not going to happen. Not now and not ever. So in the subsection here under Income Tax Act, Section 150, filing returns of income, general rules, corporations. A, in the case of a corporation by or on behalf of the corporation within 6 months after the end of the year, if one, at any time in the year the corporation A is resident in Canada, B, carries on business in Canada, unless the corporation's only revenue from carrying on business in Canada in the year consists of amounts in respect of which tax was payable by the corporation under subsection 212, another stupid section. C, has a taxable capital gain otherwise than from an excluded disposition, or D, disposes of a taxable Canadian property otherwise than in an excluded disposition, or 2, tax under this part A is payable by the corporation for the year, or B, would be but for a tax treaty payable by the corporation for the year otherwise than in respect of a disposition of taxable Canadian property that is treaty protected property of the corporation. Now, hear all this stupid crap. Essentially, they're still saying, please, everybody, we're losers at the CRA. So please open corporations and please make money and please give us some. And the only way that we can do it is if you do your tax returns and tell us. That's it. What if you ignored all this? What if all of you came to me and got your corporations registered and never did this? The word shall. You shall do a tax return. There's a problem with the word shall. It is archaic language. It's 1800 stuff, like balderdash. That's a bunch of balderdash. Oh my goodness, that man over there is so full of poppycock. Oh my goodness gracious me. Who remembers the 70s? Like, far out, dude, groovy. Yeah. How about the 80s? Tubular, man, bitchin'. Yeah, whoa. Right? Language changes, and the word shall is considered archaic. So in criminal law, the word shall has weight. You shall not kill. You shall not steal. You shall not blow up politicians, even if it would make society better. You shall not do these things. But when it comes to civil law, like this stupid CRA nonsense, shall is a suggestion. please, you shall do something. And I've told a couple of auditors, you shall come over to my office and kiss my ass. And you're saying I shall do a tax return. I think both of us are going to be very disappointed. Well, not me, because I don't want to see them, but they will. I can promise you that. All right, everybody? So the filing of a tax return is completely optional. All of you who have tax trouble are in trouble because of you. You filled out your tax returns. You didn't have to, but you did. All right. So deceased individuals, that one's not anywhere near as interesting, except for me to tell you this. When someone dies, shut up. Don't put anything on Facebook. Oh, my dad died. I want sympathy. Keep it private, man. Don't phone people saying, oh, dad died. Stop. That's you. That's your private family. That's your loved one. Mourn. Spend 3 days mourning. You should do this. There's a reason why in the law you are allowed to mourn for 3 days. Your boss can't fire you if you take 3 days off when someone dies. You are permitted 3 days to mourn. Take those 3 days and mourn. I mourned the death of my father, not my mother. She ran downstairs in the hospital and picked up the payphone and called the toll-free number for the CRA, crying, oh, my husband's dead. I don't want to go to jail. I don't know what to do. So they couriered her out an assessment for $25,000, and she paid it. Yeah, that's right. That's how afraid people are of the CRA. Yeah. So when someone dies, shut up. Don't put it on social media. Shut up. Get all the assets. Get all the money. Get the gold. Get the cars. Get the family photo albums. Get everything. Get it all. Because believe me, when you start going through people's stuff, you always find things later. Later, you find these things. It's never right off the hop. An example I can give you, I had an aunt-in-law who died, and she just kept mountains of crap around her place, pack rat. Well, it took me 6 months to go through everything, and I'm glad that I spent my time doing it. As I found garbage, I would put it in bags and just ship it off. A buddy of mine would come by and pick it all up and throw it all away. But in the 6th month, I found a life insurance policy for a very, very, very large amount of money. Thinking, okay, wow, this is great. And because I had not gone to the Canada Revenue Agency and turned in her social insurance number and told the CRA that she was dead, they weren't looking for any money from her. We were able to get the life insurance policy, moved it into my kids' names, done deal. Just like that. I did not inform the CRA of her death until 5 years later. And you can do the same thing because this act, section 150 here, says that deceased individual says that in the case of an individual who dies after October of the year and on or before the day that would be the individual's filing due date for the year, if the individual had not died by the individual's legal representatives on or before that day, is the latter of the day on before which the return would otherwise be required to be filed, and the day that is 6 months after the day of death. What the hell does that? What does that mean? What does that mean? That's word salad nonsense, man. That's a politician's answer. That's a lawyer's answer. Holy crap. That doesn't even mean anything. That is bad language. So I'm telling you, whatever the tax year is, who cares? They're dead. They're dead. You're the executor. You get to make the decisions. And the decisions are, you didn't hear this from me, but let's say your mom dies. Let's say your mom had great credit. Take her credit cards and go on a shopping spree. You know what you need to do? Don't buy garbage that you don't need. Get things like gift cards to Esso and Petro-Canada and Texaco and whatnot, because you're going to use that. Get gift cards to places like Sobeys and Walmart and grocery stores because you got to eat. Right? Load up the debt on the credit cards. It doesn't matter. She's dead. You're the executor. That's how it works. And if the credit card company says, oh, we heard that she might be dead, you don't even have to answer. Yeah, and you could say, I'm the executor. We currently are reviewing files. Thank you. Vague. Don't answer questions. Shut up. Everything with me is vague. I know how to speak this way as well, by the way, everyone. It's bad language from the standpoint of when I give vague answers and I'm not actually answering someone's question, it hurts them because they're not going to get out of me what they're looking for. Everything is vague. You know, I can't tell you with any particular certain degree of accuracy what's in this document. Do you know why? I haven't read it. But if you can give me 120 days, I'll get to it at some point, perhaps. Thank you for your time. Why don't all of you talk like that? You think for a second that I answer the questions of cops or judges or crown attorneys or the CRA or anyone for that matter? If it doesn't benefit me and it doesn't benefit my client, I'm not going to answer the question. Everything is vague. You got to do the same thing. Let's cover personal now. So in the same crap, Section 150 of the Income Tax Act, under individuals, D, in the case of any other person on or before one, the following April 30th by that person, or if the person is unable for any reason to file the return by the person's guardian, committee, or other legal representative in this paragraph referred to as the person's guardian, to the following June 15th by that person, if the person is unable for any reason to file the return by that person's guardian, where the person is an individual who carried on a business in the year, unless the expenditures made in the course of carrying on the business were primarily the cost or capital cost of tax shelter investments as defined in subsection 143.2. B, at any time of the year, cohabitating spouse, common law partner within the meaning assigned by subsection 1226 of an individual to whom clause 150 applies, or 3, where at any time in the year, the person is cohabitating spouse or common law partner within the meaning assigned by section 1226 of an individual to whom paragraph 151B applies for the year on or before the day that is later on the day on or before which is the person's return would be otherwise be required to be filed, and the day that is 6 months after the day of the individual's death, or, and there's more. What is this? This is bad language. Now, a judge would understand this because the judges are equally as evil as everybody else who wrote this garbage. But this doesn't mean a damn thing. I would, if the CRA took me to court, and the CRA does not sue people, by the way, everybody. If the CRA took me to court, I would not go in the stand, but I'd make sure all of them went in the stand, and I would get them to read this stupidity and then get them to interpret this. Could you imagine some moron working for the CRA who wasn't born in Canada, first off, pronouncing this, and then secondly, defining it? Imagine getting a legal interpretation from an auditor on that. I just read it verbatim. It sounds really stupid, doesn't it? Because it is. Because this is the language that is written to take your tax money from you. It sounds really official, doesn't it? But it's not. It's garbage. And let's go right back to the top of this document here. All right, I'm going to read it one more time. Section 150, filing returns of income, the general rule. 1, subject to subsection 1.1, a return of income that is in prescribed form and contains prescribed information shall, not must, shall be filed with the minister, which means the CRA, without notice or demand for the return for each taxation year of the taxpayer. Oh my God. So remember how I've told you before that taxes are voluntary. I just proved it to you. Section 150. You shall think about possibly considering the idea of trying to care about doing a tax return, because shall means nothing. It's great to know the law, and now you do too. So yes, I'm a little charged up today, everybody, because this is the type of garbage that they use to take money from you. It doesn't matter that people speak like this. or read garbage like this to you, it doesn't mean that it means anything. It doesn't at all, because the first sentence negates everything below it. Understand, folks, that this whole thing is a scam. It's a con. It's a dodge. It's a hustle. The only reason the CRA gets you to cooperate is because all of you have put inside your own heads that this stuff is real. All of you out there believe that the CRA is somehow a police force. I'm showing you now that it's not at all. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a couple of letters that will be my extreme pleasure to read to you. So the backstory is this. I bought a corporation from a guy, and in this corporation that I bought, it was a share sale. So I had to take over all of his liabilities, all of his debt. And with me purchasing the corporation, his debt is now my problem. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I got a really good plasma cutting torch out of it. Like, we're talking the kind of plasma cutting torch that if you went to a building, a steel girder building, and you went, it'd be like a lightsaber. It would cut right through it. You could cut a building down with this thing. So that is what I got out of the deal. Now, I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for the corporation, and I'm not going to tell you how much that thing is worth. But I can tell you this. I'm not selling it. It is awesome. And it's on a shipping crate right now on its way to me here in Panama. I can't wait to use this. So, Mark McDonald is the auditor who has been pestering my client and so on, the guy that I bought the corporation from. This Mark McDonald guy tells me that I got no choice. I have to get the taxes updated. I said, well, I bought the corporation and I've got 12 boxes absolutely full of paperwork and I haven't opened them yet. And I'm not going to just because you ask. So if you pay me for my time at $300 an hour, I'll consider it. Well, I'm not going to do that. What a stupid question to ask. So this guy has made more than 47 phone calls to me. Sorry, I lied. He made about 10 to me. I made the rest back to him. But it's 47 in total so far. There will be more because this guy's an unbelievable idiot. Just an unbelievably arrogant loser who has, after I sent him letters saying, dude, for real, I still represent the guy that I bought the corporation from. I am his legal agent. Do not call him. If you do, we are calling the police. Well, I want you to. You call the police. I'll be at home shaking in my boots waiting for you to call the cops. That's what he says. It's like, that's a weird request, man. But your wish is my command. So we have filed a couple of times. This Mark McDonald guy decided to pester my client, pester my client's fiance, pester my client's friends, adult children, former employers, former business partners, the whole 9 yards. So everybody collectively is now filing police reports against this guy, completely and totally. Then he called me one last time and made this big demand of me that I will use the full weight of the CRA to get what's ours. Like, okay, well, I haven't even done the taxes yet. Well, what are you going to do? Set them all to zero? I don't know. I haven't seen the taxes yet. Dude, for real, you're asking me to tell you what's in those boxes. I haven't opened them yet. And the truth is, I haven't opened them yet. I got 12 boxes full of files from a corporation I bought. They are covered in dust. They are sealed in tape. I haven't even cut the tape yet. They're sitting in an office, well, kind of an office warehouse thing, 2 hours west of where I am right now. I can assure you, I'm not driving 2 hours in Panama to go to a warehouse in Panama to open up 12 boxes I haven't even looked at yet. I ain't doing it. No, not ever. Not because some guy demands it. So now what we're going to do is share with you the letter that I wrote to this guy on April the 3rd. Now, caution, there's some bad language in here and kind of a double meaning. I've got a little bit of profanity in this thing. So here we go. My name, Kevin J. Johnston. My address is on this thing. If anybody wants to see a copy of this letter, just go to my Facebook page right now. You'll see it there waiting for you. To Mark McDonald, auditor, Canada Revenue Agency, telephone number 23. Somebody put this down in the chat. I want all of you to call this guy. 236-464-3061. Apparently, he works at the Pacific Regional Compliance Center at 9755 King George Boulevard in Victoria, British Columbia. Everybody call this guy between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. Don't swear, don't threaten, don't do any of that. Ask him questions, but start everything off saying, Kevin J. Johnston is having me call to make sure you're okay, because Kevin really cares. And then ask some questions. The funniest reaction, you guys can send me these audio tracks. The funniest reaction gets $100 of my money sent directly to you. Yeah, all right. So here's my letter. Marky, baby, thank you so ever much for your letter dated February 25th of 2025. Where are we here? To remind you, for the record, I am acting as a legal agent for and his family. You've insisted that the Canada Revenue Agency, CRA, gets to decide who can and cannot represent taxpayers. Let me remind you again, the CRA has no such authority. The Canada Revenue Agency is a glorified collection agency. Hold on a second there. I just got to turn this off for the Rumble people. There we go. Is a glorified collection agency with no lawful authority in Canada. At any time, if you think I'm wrong, I dare you to file a lawsuit against me and we'll duke it out in court. But you won't. And we both know why. 1, you are Canada's biggest coward. 2, you have no law backing your nonsense. Clause 15 of the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights states that any Canadian can choose anyone they like to represent them in tax matters. The only technicality you're whining about is the AUT-01 form, which you had and you deleted. That's not a guess. That's an accusation. One I've made before, one you've never denied. And since you begged us to contact the RCMP about your behavior, that's exactly what we've done. You seem to think that Crown immunity, another bad word, shields you from extortion, criminal harassment, fraud, conspiracy, uttering threats, intimidation, and stalking. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Maybe go and read what Crown immunity actually means before continuing your criminal harassment campaign. Now, before I continue, Crown immunity, everybody, means that if I sue the Canada Revenue Agency and that individual agent, the individual agent will be covered by the CRA's lawyers who are provided by the Department of Justice. But if I just sue the individual, the CRA will offer no such protection. And Crown immunity does not protect any government employee from criminal code acts. Not one. Please let me continue. As you are well aware, I acquired Limited in a share sale, which gave me full rights to the client list, intellectual property, and all company assets, especially the welding equipment. I'm a former welder, but you knew that. I legally own it, and I've chosen to use it for my personal projects. That's my right. It's my money. The share sale was vetted and approved by legal counsel. It's bulletproof. I even offered you the chance to review all of our files in my office. You've declined over a dozen times. I wonder why. Because he's a coward. Meanwhile, you continue to harass the former owner over tax bills that you cannot prove even exist. And he can't. This is now both a cease and desist notice and an invocation of Clause 7 of the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. You have the right, unless otherwise provided by law, not to pay income tax amounts in dispute before you have had an impartial review. So as soon as you object to a tax bill in Canada, you don't owe the tax money until you've been heard in a legally authorized hearing. That is preferably third party. Mark, you have cited no law, just generic references to the Income Tax Act. That's not good enough. You've offered no legal grounds showing my corporation owes you anything. In fact, we suspect you've forged documents, which we are reviewing for evidence, which means, truth be told, I actually have to go to the warehouse this weekend. I'm taking 3 people with me who all speak English, and we're going to go through the entire file. Now, the good part about this is it's in Coronado. The good part about Coronado, there's 14 kilometers of really nice beach that I can surf at. So I will be surfing for some of that time. Let me remind you, you're not a judge. You have no legal authority to determine who can or cannot represent my clients. You've violated federal law, my client's charter rights, and your own internal guidelines. And somehow you're proud of this. Let's talk about your pathetic requirement to pay letter, which he did send to me. It's a requirement to pay letter. He wants me to pay him stuff. God, what an idiot. He wants me to hold my own money in Panama and then give it to him before I've even read the tax files. Wow, what a complete fool. So let's talk about your pathetic requirement to pay letter. I've advised the victim of your harassment that we are all ignoring your threats. So now what? Time to act, right? Wrong. You'll do abso-effing-lutely nothing. I did swear in the letter. The CRA is the biggest joke in Canadian bureaucratic history, and I'm calling your bluff publicly. Threaten me with something real. Take a real step. Because if you don't, the entire country is going to know you've got nothing. Oh, yeah. If you don't shut me down now, then guess what? I've already won. I'm going to keep saving Canadians from corrupt cowards like you. Buck, buck, beta cuck. The next move is yours. Love, Kevin J. Johnston. Yes, you are absolutely legally allowed to talk to auditors this way. You're legally allowed to talk to anybody this way. And auditors are not human beings. They do not have authority. You do not have to listen to them. You don't let them in your house. You don't let them in your office. You don't answer their questions. What you do is you contact me, and we put out no trespassing notices banning the auditor and the entire audit department, I might add, from entering your property. And as soon as they do, you call 911. Call the police. You have a stalker in your yard. You have to protect yourselves, everybody. You just have to. There we go. So we've covered language tonight. Bad language, everybody. Not profanity, but bad language written by bureaucrats who put together the Income Tax Act specifically to make it seem like they are actually laws. Now, I'm going to ask all of you, I'm going to give everybody watching tonight a little bit of homework. And your homework assignment is go through the Canadian Income Tax Act and look for the word punishment. If it's a law, it is punishable. Look at the Criminal Code of Canada. Everything has a punishment. Break and enter, punishment. Steal a car, punishment. Own an illegal firearm, punishment. Punishment typically is a fine or prison or both. But there's no punishment in the Income Tax Act. Instead, they get really mad. That's it. So if you protect yourself, this is episode number 61. At least the last 30 episodes have been focused almost entirely on tax and tax law. You all know that none of you should have more than $1,000 in a personal bank account. All your money should be in a corporate bank account with a with a provincially chartered bank, which is a credit union or otherwise. And it's a holding company, so it never has to report anything to the CRA, which means you'll never owe tax, which means the CRA won't know anything about you, which means they'll never bother you. Your house should be in a numbered corporation. Your cars, plural, can be in a numbered corporation. All your tools and equipment and everything else should be in a numbered corporation. If you have lots of money, that should be in a numbered corporation. Now, I will set up your numbered corporations for you and write all your corporate bylaws for you, because the corporate bylaws will actually supersede your will when you die. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Check it out, guys. Let's say you got 10 kids. You buy a house. You split it into 100 shares. You give yourself 52, 51, 52. You've got full voting rights over the corporation. And you give each kid like 5. And then you give the lawnmower guy 3 or something, right? So when you die, in your corporate bylaws, you state that most of my shares go to my kids, and 3 extra shares go to the lawn care guy, and 2 of them go to the chick, and whatever it might be. So what I want to say, everybody, is that you can come to me to protect yourselves. If your house is in a numbered corporation, you are completely judgment proof. So if you get sued for anything, it doesn't matter, because they don't know you have that house. If your cars are in a numbered corporation, let's say you get caught speeding and the cops, they want to come by and investigate and ask questions about who was driving the car. If it's in a company name, then you can say, guys, company vehicle, I got no clue who's driving the car. Sorry, can't help you. Get off my property. Yeah. All right. And if your money is in a numbered corporation in Canada, they can't take it. So yes, the safest thing on the planet to do is move your money out of Canada. But if you have to keep it there, we put it into a numbered corporation. And so long as you shut up, exercise your right to remain silent, be quiet, don't tell people about it. So long as you do that, they'll never know. And did you know if you do get sued, there is something called a discovery, more bad language, right? They should call it interrogation. But you've got a discovery where the person who sues you gets to ask you questions about all your assets. But did you know that you do not have to cooperate with that either? Oh, yeah. I was questioned once by a criminal who sued me because I exposed his criminality. And the judge just didn't like me because she was a left-wing freak and decided to make me lose. And as I'm going through the discovery, I spent 6 hours straight saying, go F yourself, go F yourself, go F yourself, go F yourself. I wasn't going to answer their questions. None of your business. Do you have a car? Go for yourself. You got a boat? Go for yourself. Yes. I'm not going to answer any of these questions. And you don't have to. Show up for kicks, but tell them, go F yourself. If any of you ever get called into what's called a discovery in Canada, film it, go live, contact me, tell me you're going into a discovery, and film yourselves behaving like complete Neanderthals. Take brass instruments with you, take drums with you, take maracas with you, take noisemakers with you. Yeah, just make noise. They will throw you out of the building. And if they throw you out, then guess what? That's not your fault. It's their building. They toss you out the door. You don't have to answer any questions that particular day. I've gotten kicked out of many discoveries against me. Yeah, playing instruments, screaming, yelling, slamming the desk, sitting still for about 3 minutes straight, like with a look on my face like this, and then just scream. Oh, yeah. Nobody knows what to do when you behave abnormally like that, and they will eventually just kick you out. So everybody, stop cooperating. I will now take questions, everybody. So let's go back. We saw a few of them here. Let's have a look at your questions. How do I get an immigration lawyer to move to another country? Well, I'm in Panama. I can put you in touch with 2 of them, 2 very good immigration lawyers. That's not a problem. Hit me up on my website for that. All right. 6.0 says you don't answer, it's assumed guilty. No, that's actually not how it works. A discovery is not a trial. It's just a loser lawyer asking questions like a loser and you not cooperating. That's all. It's like a stubborn mule. When you pull a mule and it sits down and you can't move it? Yeah. You're allowed to be a stubborn mule when people ask you questions. Just sit there. Dead look on your face. Or better yet, walk away. What are you answering questions for? You can all get a hold of me on my website, KevinJJohnston.com. Can't they find you through HST? Rudy, if you snitch on yourself and do your HST returns, sure. Why would you do that? You don't have to. I just read the whole section 150 that I hope you listen to. You don't gotta cooperate with the CRA. You don't have to do tax returns according to section 150 of the Income Tax Act. I read it for you. So stop doing it. Oh, self-aware. We have ourselves our first troll of the night. You are not welcome here. Hold on. And blocked. Confirm. Bye-bye. There we go. The trolls do not get time here at all. Okay, so Mr. Hooley asks, let me just approve that message. There we go. Can't they hold you in contempt of court? No, because it's not a court order. A discovery, everybody, is not held in court. It's usually held in a lawyer's office. That's not a court. And if someone says you can hold the Bible, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? No. I've said no many times. No. And oh, well, what do we do now? You have to. No, I don't. Because here's the deal, guys. I'm Christian. If I got the Bible in my hand and I know I'm going to lie through the entire deposition, then for me to swear that I'm telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God, is a lie unto itself. I'll get struck by lightning, I'm sure. And I'm not doing that for you. So, no, let me put this book down over here. No, I will not be sworn in. And if it's a discovery in a lawyer's office, what are they going to do? Hold you in contempt of court? It ain't court. Why would you ever say, yes, I will swear something in when there's no benefit to you? Don't sign anything in Canada. Don't agree to anything in Canada unless it benefits you. It's okay to be a little greedy when it's your life and your money. Gold Key says, if you file, can you still fight if they decide to come after you? You can go after the CRA whenever you want. If the CRA comes after you, file a $10 million lawsuit against them and the individual agent who gave you a difficult time. And then you have to use the appeal process, which is free, and appeal everything that they do. I have a son with severe ADHD, was diagnosed 2010. No one ever mentioned disability. Well, depends who your tax guy is. I mean, if I'm your tax guy, I'll put down disability to the maximum amount that I'm allowed to put down. Anybody who's got a disability at all, even if it's something like, I don't know, hemorrhoids, I'll still put it down. Why wouldn't I? I hate the CRA, and I'd like to see as many Canadians as possible keep as much of their money as possible. So that is what I would do. Accountants out there are cowards. They all cooperate with the CRA. They all, it's their dream. It's their goal. It's their desire to be CRA compliant. What kind of a loser does that? Lots of them out there, folks. Should you direct your employer to stop deducting taxes from your pay? Well, you can negotiate with your employer and say, look, boss, yo, boss, sup, boss, put me on contract. I don't want to pay these ridiculous taxes anymore. I've got better write-offs if I can open up a corporation and bill you weekly. Do that. If your boss says no, maybe consider looking elsewhere, or make me your tax guy and I will completely kill your personal tax bill, because it's actually quite easy to do. Can we still get a provincial and federal pension if we don't do taxes? No, Jay, or Jazzy Jan, but what if you never paid tax for your entire life? Would you actually need a pension? If you never paid tax in Canada, $100,000 salary in the province of Ontario costs you $26,500 in tax. times 10, that's $260,000, right? Times 40 years is $1 million, plus all the compound interests that you would have got on that money. You'd be able to retire with about $3 million in the bank, no problem, if you never pay tax in Canada. So if you stop paying friggin' tax, you wouldn't care about pension. Everyone thinks pensions are a great thing. Pension, woo-hoo, pension. I want my pension. You people are idiots sometimes, I'm telling you. You're willing to part with a quarter, sometimes a third, and in some cases half of your salary for a pension worth $1,200 a month. Maybe $1,200 is high, by the way. I went through this with my mother. She saw me not paying tax anymore. I hit around age 20 and I kept cheating on my taxes all the way through. And then I gave up paying tax in the year 2000. I just stopped. Yeah, but you're not going to get your pension. Like, Ma, why are you still paying tax? It's ridiculous. You're not going to get anything. Ma, I guarantee you're getting about $1,000 a month, maybe. No, it's not how it is. The government's going to take care of me. Ma. Remember when they audited you back in 1983 and they took 1/3 of your wealth and you had to get a mortgage on your house to pay your taxes? Ma, the same institution is going to help you when you're retired? Ma, I love you, but come on. Well, she retired at age 65 and I drove right to her house. I had flowers and I had a cake. I was being a jerk. I admit it, but I couldn't resist. I said, Ma, celebration. You know, you retired. Good. Let me see your pension stub. And her first pension stub, $970. That's it. She paid tax for over 40 years to get $970 a month. Could you imagine if she had not paid the $970 a month, let's say almost like per month in income tax to get that $970 back later on? My God, she'd be a millionaire. Holy smoke. So no, stop doing these things. I've not filed a tax return in 10 years. They've stopped calling, should I be worried? Only if you own property in your name. If everything's in numbered corporations, no, you've got nothing to worry about at all. What do we do if a bank account is frozen? Two things. Sue the bank for $10 million for breach of contract, breach of privacy, breach of trust. You can file breach of trust and theft criminal charges against the bank manager and everybody who works in that branch. And then we just redo your taxes and get the money back for you. That's how you do it. Canadians have got to grow some balls, everybody. Every time the bank takes money out of your account and gives it to the CRA or someone else, you have to file criminal charges against everybody who works there. Simply go in with your camera, get pictures of everyone who works there, get every single business card with their names on it, line their name up to the actual photograph, and go to the courthouse and file criminal charges. If 1 million Canadians did this, the banks would stop cooperating with the CRA. Is moving to Canada from the United States a good idea, Samantha? That would be the worst mistake of your life. You're going to give up 73% of everything you make in tax. And if you offend the LGBTQs, you go to jail for life because they are going to push Bill C-63 through, and that's the end of it for the country. There's no free speech in Canada at all. There's no constitution that is similar to the American Constitution that would protect your right to freedom of the press or free speech at all. And I mean none. People in Canada go to jail for 2 to 10 years for hate speech. Hate speech. And all you got to do is offend somebody who is a liberal, and it's over for you. Do not go to Canada. It's my home country. I have not been there for 18 months, 21 months now, sorry. I don't miss it at all. I'm actually quite pleased to not be anywhere near all that left-wing nonsense. What if they put a lien on your house? Can I fight it, or is it too late? No, it's not too late because the CRA does not put liens on properties. They put writs against them. And all you got to do is send in an objection letter, affidavit, swear it in. I send that off on your behalf. We file a motion in the court. It's called ex parte, which means without other party, because the CRA is not going to show up. And we say, Your Honor, Clause 7 of the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights allows us to not pay tax so long as everything is in dispute. We show the dispute notice. The CRA is not there to defend, and the judge will say, no problem. The writ is gone. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but It works. So don't think for a second that liens and writs can't be dealt with. They can be dealt with quite well. Are private earnings taxable? If you're talking about just putting the word private down on your tax return, yeah, but you got to be consistent with it. Every year it's got to be private. Every single year. If you change 1 year up, if you allow one T4 to be submitted in your name, then that private stuff doesn't work anymore. Got to be careful with it. Do you help people with consumer proposals? Don't ever do a consumer proposal, ever. Why? Because your credit rating's been destroyed because of the debt. Your credit rating stays destroyed all the way through your payments, and you still owe the money. What's the point? Never do a consumer proposal. What we do instead is we lie, then we lie again, and then we lie some more, and then we lie a fourth time, then I lie some more, then I lie about all these lies, and then I lie about having lied, and then I just pretend to be somebody else and then lie again to your creditors to buy you the time that you need to move all of your money out of your personal account and all of your money away from your house, move your house into a numbered corporation, move your assets elsewhere. Your assets cannot be in your name. Then it doesn't matter what we do, because if you have an R9 on your credit score, which means you didn't pay the bill and the creditor wrote it off, then your credit's destroyed for 7 years anyway. So if you have bad credit, what's the point of paying the bill? Right? Why? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. Consumer proposals are a scam. About 6-7 weeks ago, if you go back to freedomreport.ca, I had a gentleman come on the show who explained exactly what happened to him with a consumer proposal. They just raked him over the coals and he got nothing out of it. And he still owes the money. So the idea of getting out of debt is a choice. It's a decision. You're either going to pay or you're not. There's no in between. Remember what Yoda said? Do or do not. There is no try. Remember that? He's right. That little puppet this tall was right. Pick one. Like smokers. They say, well, I'm trying to quit. No, you're a smoker or you're not a smoker. Pick one and be it. You're an alcoholic or you're not. You pick one, be it. It's the same thing with your taxes and the same thing with your debts. You're going to pay or you're not. Pick one. Derek KJ says, you can't book an appointment on your website, no openings. I think we're booked until October right now. From time to time, we have openings that come up. But here's the deal, Derek. Are you going to sell me a corporation or are you looking for personal taxes? If you can tell me right now what you're after, I can tell you what we can do for you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. And my good friend there from La Belle Province is here. And I need you to call me tomorrow, mon ami. Please do that because I have a good idea that you will like. So do that. Merci beaucoup. Love that. Beautiful. What if I don't have the disability certificate? Is there a way to get one? You don't need one? Affidavit. We write an affidavit for you. You swear that you or your loved one has a disability, and we send that in, and the CRA has to legally accept that. There you go. I'm in a huge deal with the CRA, ready to close my business down. We need to talk. Okay, Wilder, if your company has a ton of CRA debt, whether it be, what do you got? Payroll, that's the big one. GST, HST, big one. Provincial sales tax, third biggest one. Income tax, fourth biggest one. Bank loans, credit cards, whatever it might be. I will buy your corporation from you. I will buy it. I take all of your debt. Every single debt you have is gone in less than 72 hours. I take it all over, and the CRA can chase me for that. So anybody who's watching this right now, if you've got a corporation, not a sole proprietorship, a corporation with a ton of tax debt, you got to go over to my name, KevinJJohnston.biz, B-I-Z, biz, KevinJJohnston.biz. and fill the form out. The form is right there waiting for you. You give me your name, your phone number, email address, the company name, company registration, and all your debts. And then from there, we're going to make a deal, and I'm taking it over, all of it. And then I'm going to start you in a brand new numbered corporation, and you'll never pay tax again for the rest of your life. Now, if anybody wants to do that, you get a hold of me at the subdomain of KevinJJohnston.biz. Somebody put that in the chat, please. I'm going to check the Rumble room right now for questions. Give me a second there, please. All right, so we've got a couple of questions here. CRF Mixer says, Kevin, I got a question. If we change titles of our vehicles owned by the company, if we can change ourselves to shareholders and make an alias. Okay, I understand that. All right, what you can do, yes, this is actually quite cool. This is a new service that we offer. If your vehicle has been subject to tolls, fines, parking tickets, whatever else, what you do is you will transfer the ownership of it to my corporation in Alberta. We will send the inspector by aeroplane to inspect your vehicle. And if it passes, we will then register the vehicle for you in Alberta and ship the plates back to you in Ontario, the Alberta plate. It'll be insured because I buy fleet insurance right now for over 2,000 vehicles. I get a hell of a price, which means you're going to get a hell of a price. And congratulations, your vehicle is now registered in Alberta. And according to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, you've got travel rights. Your vehicle can travel anywhere you want. Oh, by the way, if you were to, I don't know, drive on the 407 highway, the most expensive toll road in the world, and rack up $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 worth of debt, they got to chase me for it, not you. And of course, I'm not going to pay because it's not an Ontario-based corporation. And the other part of your question is, if you do transfer ownership of your vehicle to my corporation, we put on the blockchain you as 100% shareholder of the vehicle. We actually tokenize the car or the truck or the trailer or the boat. It's yours, tokenized. So you can sell it without my permission. Just whatever. Paint it without my permission. Do things in the back seat without my permission. Just don't tell me about it. Unless she's hot, in which case tell me about it. So you get the idea, folks. We can do what we want because everything that we do is within the confines of the laws written. I didn't write these laws. They did. I just read them all, every single one of them, and understood them. And then even though I understood them, I got a legal opinion on the ones that made a little bit not so much sense. And now I understand those too. We can do what we want if we understand the laws. Hey, Kevin, thoughts on getting a loan to buy a business in the USA and move there from Canada? Excellent idea. Register a corporation in the United States. You can do it in Wyoming for about $300. No, I'm sorry, that's not right. $95 and pay $360 for a mailbox for the year at a law firm. And then if you buy a business in the United States, you move it to the ownership of your Wyoming-based corporation, move all your money into a bank account there. Chase Bank or Relay are the two that I work with. Oh, there's more. Then you apply for your EIN and your ITIN number. And as soon as you get those, because you'll then be clearing an FBI check, you apply for the E2 visa. And you'll probably get it because you've already put $100,000 into the country. Oh, yeah. So long as you don't have weapons charges or rape or murder charges, things like that, you'll get in and you get 3 years to make money and hire an American. As soon as you hire Americans full-time, guess what? They renew the visa. It's an excellent, excellent idea. Moving on to the next question. Okay. What about business loans that need tax returns? Rudy, could you elaborate on that question, please, if you don't mind? What other platforms am I streaming on tonight? DLive, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble. Rumble you'll find if you type in freedomreport.ca. Rumble's our main channel. We archive absolutely everything there. You said at the beginning of the presentation you were running for mayor of Calgary again. Yep. Campaign promise number 1. All pride flags will be banned from all schools. Campaign promise number 2. is that Calgary is going to become a tax-free economic zone. That's right. The Canada Revenue Agency will not be allowed to tax anyone inside of the city of Calgary. Campaign promise number 3, and the big one is Calgary will be leaving Canada and joining the United States. And I have already begun conversations with a very interesting group of people in the United States who know a very certain someone, and they like the idea. And it actually is possible to do, not as mayor, but in the information that you're all going to find out next week, because I've got Rob Anders coming back next week to talk about the election, the previous election here, and all the implications of having a liberal government. You're not going to believe what this guy's got to say in next week's show. Woo! Can we run a business and not charge sales tax to our clients? You do what you want. It's your business. Remember, the right to remain silent, so long as you shut up about everything that you do. The CRA will never know what you do. And that's how it should be. I've got some questions here on Facebook. My husband, Sherry says, my husband was told by CRA that he owes $90K for the year 2023 in taxes. He hasn't even made that much in 2023. How is that possible? Well, Sherry, because they're criminals. They assessed you, and the assessment is a guess. So all I have to do, Sherry, is redo the taxes for the year before and the year of. And I'll set your taxes down as low as I legally can and get you all that to go away. All of it goes away, everybody. All right, next. Hey, we're back to TikTok here. There's no questions on Instagram and nothing on Kick. All right. Zachary, can I help with bankruptcy? All right, Zach, bankruptcy is the absolute last thing you do. Friends, like, okay, look, you got to really be careful, everybody, who you go to for information. You really need to be careful. There's a lot of people talk out of their asses. Why? To sound important for 15 minutes. Andy Warhol was right. Everybody will experience 15 minutes of fame. Bankruptcy is something that you do when you have deliberately forced yourself and your corporation into as much debt as possible to the point where there would be no other way to do things. But if it's corporate debt, you can sell me your corporation and I can take all that corporate debt away from you. If it's personal debt, we can go back 10 years, redo your taxes and get you out of debt. Because I'm sure, because, most accountants suck, so they didn't put in medical expenses, marketing expenses, legal expenses, T2125 part-time expense forms, expenses. Like, they just don't put expenses in. And it sucks to deal with accountants that don't know what they're doing. They don't do these things, and it hurts you, not them, because you still pay them. And they always make you sign a form saying that they're not liable for anything. I'm the only one in the country that after I do your taxes, I actually write an affidavit saying that I'm solely responsible for everything in this tax return. And then I swear it in to the courts, and that goes into the CRA. So I actually tell the CRA that I am the one who's accountable, not you, the client. But every accountant out there will always say the same thing, that they're not liable for your taxes, even though they did them. Stay away from cowards like that. So Zach, don't go bankrupt. Let's redo your taxes. All right, CRA is after my wife for CERB after certifying she was eligible. The CRA does not care. They just lie and say you owe the money back. There are 5 legal letters I have to send into them in a very specific order. It's $950 for me to deal with CERB. If you want that done, head over to my website, KevinJJohnston.com, and let me know there, please. Trish, I just handled that right now for you. Hello from Edmonton. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. You are booked until September. Booked a couple of weeks ago. It's the only date you have. Overtaxed Canadian. I remember seeing your name. Overtaxed Canadian. Need you to get me your email address and your phone number, please. If you could, head over to my website, use the contact form right now, and use the term, your username right there. because I've seen you here before. Thank you. Do that now if you could. How much for the affidavit? Well, if I do your taxes, the affidavit has a flat charge of $250. That's my time to write it and the fee to make this stupid gesture and swear it in where I say, I do. Yeah. And then we ship it off to the CRA. I'm not a lawyer. I'm better than lawyers. I'm better than almost every tax lawyer out there, but I don't charge people $5,000 retainers to sign a piece of paper and then walk away. I hate lawyers. God, they all suck. Every single one of them. Trish says, how does this benefit me? I'm sorry, how does what benefit me? I get paid for what I do, Trish. This show is free because I like helping people out. But whenever I'm doing taxes for people, I do get paid. Rudy, I have a corporation to sell. I emailed you in the day. Rudy, tell you what, do me a small favor here. Go back to the website, hit the contact form, put in Rudy from TikTok. And I'm going to see that. And I'll get you a call tomorrow. All right. Thank you. Wilder, you have a corporation? Sell it to me, baby. Get rid of it. I'll take all your debt from you. Jazzy Jan asks a really good question here. Okay. All right. Jazzy Jan asks, why do you buy a corporation with tax debt? Because I understand the entire monetary system. I've studied what money is for a very long time. I know how the banks work. I know how fractional reserve banking works. I understand how the commodities, gold and silver markets work. I know crypto. I know the CRA. I know all the tax laws. I know them all. Debt is not to be feared if you know what I know. Debt is a commodity that can be sold and bartered, traded, do whatever you want. Debt has value to me, quite a bit of it, in fact. So if you are going to get me a whole bunch of debt, then I'm able to do a lot of really cool things with that debt. It would take a long time to explain it, and we only have 13 minutes left in our time. So that's why I make money when I buy debt. Mr. Hooley says, what if it's all personal and sole proprietorship debt? I cannot buy that because sole proprietorships are connected directly to your social insurance number, but I can redo your taxes. I can redo them all and put so many expenses in there that you'll never have a tax bill again. But we got to make sure that we look at your file and understand it. By the way, everybody, why are we only at 12,900 likes? I need everybody right now. Double finger, double finger, double finger. Let's get those likes flying. We should see hearts flying up for the next 12 minutes straight. Get those likes going, everyone. It really does help. TikTok loves it when you guys hit the like button. If you're here on Rumble, thumbs up, Facebook, share, Twitch, God knows what you do there. Same thing over here on Instagram. Kick, everyone, get liking, everybody, because what I tell people every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time is very important, extremely. Robbie says, question, why when you were in Canada did you not open a common trust to protect your assets? Everything, Robbie, was protected by numbered corporations. They're the same thing. So we're good. Don't you worry about that. I've paid into my Canada pension plan for years. If I stop paying taxes, can I sue the CRA for my CPP and interest? If the CRA has wronged you in some way, yes, you can sue them for that. Remember, it was me, everybody, who got tort harassment law written in Canada. So everybody watching now has the right to sue cops who harass you and bylaw officers who harass you and CRA representatives who harass you. Look it up. AHS versus Johnston. Me, when I found out Alberta Health Services wanted to have a tort harassment law created, I defended myself like a monkey, deliberately lost the court case to get that tort law written. You're welcome. Use it. Sue them. Get paid. Gummo says, I thought you were in Central America. Gummo, I'm everywhere, baby. I'm everywhere. I'm here. I'm there. I'm everywhere. And I'm nowhere. I'm all over the place. You want to know why I know what I know? Because I'm everywhere. Naz says, please speak slowly. I don't understand it all. Well, Naz, that's a good point. Here's the cool thing for yourself. You'll be able to catch this on YouTube or on Rumble, and you can actually play what I'm saying slower. Literally, you can slow the video down. You right click on it and hit slow it down, like speed. So please, everybody who wants to see the replay, follow me or subscribe on Rumble. Just type in freedomreport.ca. You will get to my Rumble channel where you can replay it and slow me down. Because yes, Naz, I got a big mouth. It never stops moving, and it moves really fast. I agree with you. I want to sell my 3-year-old corporation with 20K of HST debt. That's really small debt. I can fix that debt for you. A corporate tax return like that is an easy one. Get a hold of me on my website, KevinJJohnston.com. Please do that. What about an L1 visa? I own my own Wyoming LLC and a Canadian corp. Okay, so get an L1 visa. I like the E2 because it's really easy to get. That's the difference. All right. I did my personal taxes. I got dinged for $6,500 because you went to the wrong accountant. I got to be your tax guy, everybody. And Tracy is a troll who just lied. We do not like slander and libel here. So bye-bye to you. Like we said, folks, we don't give the trolls any time here. What if you have $50,000 US money? Can you open a corporation, get your visa? Oh, yeah, guys, to open up a Wyoming-based corporation is less than $100. Absolutely, you can. Absolutely. I paid $100, so I have more time over tax. I'm not sure I understood that one. CRA said they won't pay refunds for certifications I did. No, but they will for all the GST you spent and all the legal fees you had and all the medical fees you had. So I got to be your tax guy. No one else does what I do. When will you talk about Panama again? I want to visit. Well, I mean, Panama's awesome. You can jump on an airplane and land at PTY Airport. And if you do that, you can grab a 35-cent subway ride right downtown Panama City, 35-cent subway ride or a $20 Uber ride downtown. The hotels in Panama are fantastic, and almost every single one of them has a rooftop pool or a rooftop bar or both. Come on, Panama's awesome, guys. This place is amazing. What do I get from buying out a company? Money. That's I'm in this business to make money. If I didn't make money, I wouldn't do it. On my way to Panama City to meet up and do business, Kev, can you recommend any good accommodations? I can, right? I can. There's a couple of really good places down here. Get a hold of me privately, please, and I'll get you those recommendations. Try to make an appointment with you. The website says you're booked. Okay, look, for everybody who wants to sell me a corporation, we don't need to do a consultation because it's clear you've already made your mind up that you want to sell me that corporation. Go to KevinJJohnston.biz. .biz goes to a select page on my main website where you fill the form out, and then I'll have all the information that I need to buy your corporation. If you're looking for personal taxes, yeah, we are booked up, but more slots will open soon because we are reshuffling how we do consultations. It's all going to get better. Don't you worry about that. Mega Merit says, I'm in Panama next week, Kev. Let's meet up. I've got 5 corporations. 5? You want to sell me 5 corporations? We need to go to a little restaurant in town that has a Model T Ford, a Model A Ford in it, a Studebaker from the 30s, and a 63 Thunderbird parked inside with mariachis that play. They got the best meat in the country. There's so many good restaurants here in Panama. Count me in for that. Wilder says he's going to sell me his corporation. Go to KevinJJohnston.biz and fill out the form. Hey, Kev, there is a Mr. Vic Tax Services that's been on TikTok. Is that you? Oh, Mr. Vic Taxes. I know who Vic is. Vic is a great guy. I work with Vic. What Vic does, he's in the northern Alberta area. So he's been helping a lot of loggers, a lot of oil field guys, a lot of big manual labor guys and a lot of very wealthy people hook up with me and have very extremely, well, we'll call them private meetings that are a little bit different than most. Vic is a great guy, everybody. Don't worry about Vic. He's not misleading you. I work with Vic all the time. Vic comes down to see me in Panama at least once a month so we can rap about tax information. Mr. Vic's taxes, he's completely legit. I do work with the guy. Don't worry about Vic. Can you do my wife's and my personal taxes, plus open a corporate assets? You live in Quebec. If you live in Quebec, yes, we can. Now, we got a backlog. So if anybody's coming to me for personal tax, I can't start them until June, but we can still get them done sometime this year. But if you live in Quebec, oh, you love this one. I bought a house in Ontario specifically so that everybody in Quebec can have an Ontario driver's license with an Ontario residential address. And we open up an Ontario corporation for you. And that's also going to be at the house. So you never pay Revenue Quebec again. You can live in Quebec, but not pay those stupid taxes. It's a new service we got. If anybody who's living in Quebec is watching right now and you want to be an Ontario resident and never pay that stupid Quebec crap for the rest of your lives, you got to go to my website and sign up for it. Yeehaw. Rose, thank you for the appointment. We'll see you soon. All right. Do you do corporate numbers for people? Do you mean registered numbered corporations? Yes. Yes, we do that. And I also write very good corporate bylaws. Okay. If you owe lots of CERB, I've already covered that in this show. The replay will be on freedomreport.ca. How much income should one show if they have a family court but business made no money? You can put your corporate earnings down at zero. You can say that you're in a rebuilding phase and that you're relying on the charity of others to live. Why would you want to report any of that in family court? Look, family court is ugly, guys. Advice to the men and the women out there. Work it out. If you are incompatible in your relationship, don't get the lawyers involved. Both of you are going to lose a lot of money. Work it out. You're adults. Put everything on paper and negotiate like adults. Work it out. Stay out of family court. Guys, I represent people in family court all the time. It's stupid. It's a stupid court. It's a stupid system. And people that can't get along and cost themselves a fortune by hiring lawyers are also incredibly stupid. You got to stop this crap. It's crap. So work it out. But yes, to answer your question, zero. I'm in final litigation with the CRA. Is there any hope? Peter, you got to tell me what that means, because the CRA doesn't sue people. So I would need to know more information. I have a massive tax bill because of stock options and a poor accountant. Could you help me with this? Yeah, stock options. We deal with that stuff all the time, man. There's a lot of bad accountants out there. Stock options are very easy to crush the tax bill on that. Okay, everyone, I got to say goodbye on Rumble, but stick around on TikTok. We're going to hang around for just a couple of more minutes. All right, here's the reminder, everybody. I want everyone to call Veronica Marcus at the CRA. She's an auditor with a nasty disposition. Look at all the makeup on that stupid face. She does not take no for an answer. She is a criminal. She breaks the law all the time. Call her office at 613-791-6387. Don't threaten her. Don't scream. Don't swear. Ask her questions about her job. Ask her where she gets her authority from, and ask her why she likes to trespass on people's property, and ask her why she's chosen to be a criminal extorting money for a living. Ask questions. See what she does. The funniest phone call, recorded, by the way, the funniest phone call gets $100 of my money. I'm going to give cash away for people who call these individuals and make it funny. All right, everyone on Rumble, thank you very much for being here. My name is KevinJJohnston. This is the Tax and Money Show that runs absolutely every single Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll always catch us on freedomreport.ca. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you, and I'll see you in a week.